In today's video, I'm going to show you guys the best loadouts that you could be using right now in Resurgence ranked play that are currently being used by all of the top 250 players. I'm going to show you guys the best ARs, the best battle rifles, the best SMGs. But before I get into that, if you guys find today's video helpful, please consider leaving a like and subbing to the channel. 99% of the people that watch these videos aren't subbed, and I post videos like this every single day. You don't miss the best class setups. Defil's also doing a huge sale right now with code KP. So if you guys are looking to save money on that, it's the best sugar-free energy formula on the market right now. The links to that are going to be down in the description. And again, you can use code KP to save big. Sorry for the long intro. Let's jump into the class. All right, so to kick things off, we're going to be talking about the HRM9. The HRM9 is the new SMG that you guys can unlock through the Battle Pass that was just released with the Season 2 update. The HRM9 is a very fast-firing, very mobile gun. It feels exactly like the HRM7, except it's basically made for a little bit more speed and of course has that SMG kind of feel. First thing we're going to be adding to this class setup is going to be the Hunker 5 stock pad. This is going to significantly help with our recoil control. The gun has pretty good movement already, so we don't really need to worry about adding any sort of like ultralight or no stock attachment on this. And the reason we're using the Hunker stock pad over the HVS, even though they do pretty similar things, the Hunker doesn't slow down your movement speed, whereas the HVS does slow down your movement speed and your sprint speed. For the rear grip, we're going to be using the Retort 90 grip tape. This is also going to help with our recoil control and our overall gun kick control, allowing us to have a very smooth recoil pattern due to the gun kick control and less recoil because of the recoil control. Next off, we are going to be needing a bigger magazine on this gun just because this gun shoots insanely fast, basically the baby HRM7 with a bunch of added SMG qualities. So just like we needed it on the HRM7, we're going to need it also on the HRM9 SMG. I don't notice a huge difference when it comes to the movement and ADS speed. I know it says it does a lot. It only slows down your movement speed by about 2 to 5% depending on the stat. And that ADS speed, I know it looks very daunting, a 13% slower ADS speed. That's really not that much. It's only like 20 or 30 milliseconds just because this gun aims in so quickly already. And I promise you guys, you really won't notice it. For our fourth attachment, we're going to be chucking on the ZEM 35 compensated flash hider. The reason we're going to be using this is because this is going to also help keep us off that mini-map by significantly reducing the amount of time we're on the mini-map when we fire. This isn't going to completely hide you from the mini-map. Using this because it gives that shorter ping bonus, and on top of that, a bunch of recoil control. We're going to get a lot of vertical recoil control, and we're going to get a lot of horizontal recoil control. So it's pretty much a recoil muzzle with like a little bit of like the effects of a suppressor. It's pretty dope. And then lastly, for our underbarrel, I've seen a lot of people use different underbarrels for this, but for me personally, I find that my favorite underbarrel is the FTAC MSP98. The reason that I use this as opposed to the DR6 or the Edge, which by the way, if you have a preference for one of those, you can 100% use. I just like the FTAC because it gives the vertical recoil control, and it's going to give us a little bit extra movement speed. Now, I know it says it's going to add horizontal recoil to our gun, but this gun doesn't have much horizontal recoil anyway, and because of the other recoil attachments we added, a little bit extra horizontal recoil is literally not going to be noticeable. That's the HRM9, and overall with my experience in the rank play games that I've had, I think this is one of the best SMGs, if not the best SMG right now. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the HRM. All right, so for the HRM, just like that HRM9 I just kind of spoke about, we are going to need extra ammo on this gun because it just shoots insanely fast. I'm going to use again that 50 round mag because the attachments we're going to add to this are going to make up for it. You're not going to really notice that huge slowdown it says that you get. For the rear grip, we're going to chuck on the PCS90 assault grip. The reason we're using this is because it's going to give us a little bit extra recoil control, and on top of that, the cons that we get is just a little bit less aiming stability, something that most people are literally never going to notice. So you're getting basically all of this recoil control for pretty much nothing. Next off, for our third attachment, we're going to be using the folding stock. I've seen some people use the hatchet light stock, and I know that I've personally uploaded the no stock class setup for multiplayer and pubs on Warzone, but to be honest with you guys, those aren't really practical when it comes to a ranked play setting where literally every single bullet you shoot counts, so you want to have the lowest recoil possible without totally torching the movement. So that is we're going to be chucking on again that folding stock. We're getting all of this crazy recoil control just for 4% slower ADS speed. Next off, for the muzzle, we're also going to be using that ZEM muzzle that I was just talking about for the HRM9, and we're going to again be using this for the exact same reasons too. It does the exact same thing on this, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but you get a little bit extra recoil control, and it's going to help keep you off that mini map. And then lastly, for our fifth attachment, I've tried using the underbarrels on this. I've tried the XRK, which is the movement. I've tried the FTAC, which is a little bit more of a recoil-based underbarrel. I've tried the DR6, which is a faster ADSing underbarrel, and I initially was using the DR6 for the first day of ranked play, but after the first day, when I started getting into the higher ranks, I found that I was losing a lot of gunfights, and I felt like my gun seemed a little slow, and so I took off all of the underbarrels I was trying and switched to this barrel, and this barrel is it. Now, the dope thing about the Thorn barrel is it's going to actually help with that ADS speed. It's going to also help with your sprint to fire speed, allowing you to get the first bullet. And on top of that, it's going to boost your overall sprint speed. So not your movement speed, but the actual speed at which you sprint. I found for me, this felt significantly better than using the DR6, which does kind of something similar. It does ADS speed and movement speed as opposed to ADS speed and sprint speed. I found that I noticed the sprint speed bonus on this way more than the movement speed bonus I got on the DR6. So this right here is the HRM9 that I would highly recommend you guys all use. And I think the only other gun that I can think of that some people would like to use in ranked play that might move a little bit faster than this is maybe the AMR9, which I'm also going to be showing you guys right now. All right, now the reason we're going to be talking about the AMR9, even though it's not as popular as some of these other guns that I just kind of mentioned, AMR9 technically on paper kills the fastest. There's a ton of different builds that I've tried with this, and this is the class setup that I found to be the best. So without further ado, we're going to start it off by chucking on, you guessed it, the 50 round mag, because this gun shoots insanely fast and we need all the ammo we can get. Now, if you guys have tried the AMR9 with iron sights, you'll know that the iron sights on this gun absolutely stink. So you are unfortunately going to have to use one of your 5 attachments on an optic. Some people use the slate reflector, and for me personally, I like to use the NIDAR. I think the NIDAR for the SMGs is just the best overall optic. It has the cleanest sight, and for some weird reason, I feel like it gives me less recoil when I use it. I could be bugging, but I don't know. Just try it. For our third attachment, we are going to be chucking on the DR6. This gun does aim in a little bit slower compared to some of the other SMGs we just talked about. Look here, it has a base ADS speed of 285 milliseconds, which compared to some of the other subs, they're closer to around 200. So we're going to be making up for that by adding the DR6 underbarrel, which is going to knock off 25 milliseconds of that ADS speed to help us kind of be more competitive with the other SMGs. For that muzzle, we're going to be chucking on the same ZEM 35 compensator, just because, again, helps the recoil, helps keep you off the minimap. And now, for the fifth attachment, this is where some of the builds start to vary a lot. Some people like to chuck on a stock. I've seen people use, for example, the DAV 15 light stock. I've seen people use the pipeline. I've seen people use the demo LTS, a little bit faster ADS. But I really don't like these. They don't feel good, or they add too much recoil. What I found to personally be the best attachment to add for attachment number 5 was the AMR9 Commando Pro Barrel. The reason for this is it's going to put our movement much more in line with some of those other SMGs that we get, because it's going to boost our ADS speed, it's going to boost our sprint to fire speed, our movement speed, and our sprint speed. This attachment, for lack of a better word, really is a jack of all trades when it comes to the movement and just boosting everything that's already good about the SMG. Nice thing about this also is that it has very low recoil, so I know you guys might be asking right now, just looking at the setup, it looks really weird. Where's all the recoil attachments? And I'm serious, you really don't need it. I don't play on keyboard and mouse literally ever, but it's very easy to like snap between these. You can tell that like the recoil is pretty much non-existent. I will complain a little bit about the reload speed. The reload speed does kind of stink on this compared to some of the other subs, but again, it's gotten literally no recoil, and it's very easy to use, especially from far away. And like I said before, talking about this class setup, it technically kills faster than the other subs that I mentioned. And all 3 of them are very good and viable for their own specific reasons. So those are all of the secondaries that I would recommend using. I wouldn't use anything besides the HMR9, the RAM9, or the AMR9. And so now let's go ahead and just jump right into the primary guns you should be using and could be using in Resurgence rank. All right, so let's start off the primary guns by talking about the RAM7. For those of you guys that may not know, the RAM7 caught up pretty big nerf with the last update. Kind of to be expected, I guess, though, because this gun was the meta primary for pretty much a month. I will say this, though, the gun is still very much usable, and a lot of people, including pro Warzone players, are still using this. To be honest with you, it just doesn't kill as fast anymore as some of the alternative guns, which I'm going to also talk about and show you guys. I'm going to kind of speed through this class setup really quick. I just wanted to touch on it again because there are a couple of different attachments people are using, and some people are still going to always prefer this because it just has 0 recoil. So we're going to start off by using the 60 round mag. We're going to use for the stock the HVS 3.4 for extra recoil control. It's going to help with that no recoil feel. For underbarrel, we're going to be using the same Bruin heavy support grip. Again, for that recoil control, it is going to slow down your ADS, but you have to kind of use it for that 0 recoil feel. For the barrel, we're going to be using the same Cronin headwind long barrel, just because it helps a ton with the bullet velocity and the damage range. For the muzzle, nobody is using the Jack BFE anymore because the Jack BFE also caught a nerf, so you'd be using a nerfed gun with a newly nerfed attachment. It's not the wisest thing in the world to do. I've seen some people using the Spirit Fire suppressor. I've seen some trying the Sonic. I don't recommend using any of that stuff. What I recommend doing is just using the Cassis brake muzzle, because the Cassis brake muzzle is going to help remove any sort of horizontal recoil that you get. Using this in combination with the other recoil attachments that I've added and damage range attachments that we've used, this gun is going to have an insanely fast bullet velocity, allowing you to basically point and shoot while maintaining that 0 recoil feel. It just doesn't kill as fast as it used to anymore because they reduced the damage. So to get the fastest TTK gun, We're going to be talking about the MTZ 762, which, by the way, didn't get nerfed at all. I don't know how this gun slipped through the cracks, because this gun hits like an absolute truck, and with my class setup, it's going to have no recoil, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. For our first attachment, I'm going to be running the Pulemyot Eagle Eye sight. Some people don't like the optic, and I will show you guys what to use if you don't want to use the optic, but just bear with me. Try out mine first. I promise you guys, I think it's better than the iron sight one that everybody's using. You really don't need 5 recoil attachments on this gun, which is what people are doing when they use the iron sight. For our second attachment, we're going to be using the close quarters stock. The nice thing about this stock is going to significantly help our recoil control by reducing our vertical and horizontal recoil by 14%, and it's going to smooth out our recoil pattern by 15%. It's only going to slow down our ADS speed by 3%, and it's going to reduce our movement speed by around 1%, give or take. And so you're basically getting a ton of recoil control for basically free. For our third attachment, you should be using the 30-round mag or the 40-round mag if you still have the blueprint saved. I unfortunately didn't save the blueprint of the 40-round mag, and so I no longer have it. They fixed the glitch, so you can't get the 40-round mag anymore. The only people that have it are the ones that saved it. If you have it, great. Use it. If you don't, use the 30. You need the extra ammo. For our fourth attachment, we're going to be chucking on a barrel. We're going to be using the MTZ Precision Blackthorn barrel. Mouthful. The reason we're using this is because it's going to significantly improve our bullet velocity, allowing us to basically point and shoot and not have to worry about leading shots or anything like that. And it's going to help a lot with our damage range drop off, allowing us to hit as hard as possible from far away. Look at the bonuses here. The only thing that you really lose with this is ADS movement speed and a little bit of sprint to fire speed, both of which you probably will never notice anyway. The main con you get by adding this attachment, which allows us to get these crazy damage range and bullet velocity bonuses, is hip fire accuracy and tac stand spread. Both things which anybody with a brain will literally never use, especially in a ranked setting. And then for our fifth attachment, we're going to be using a muzzle. Again, I don't recommend using the Jack BFB. So kind of similar to the Ram, we're actually going to be switching over to the Cassis brake muzzle. This doesn't slow down our ADS speed by that much, and we're going to remove all of our horizontal recoil with this gun by using this one attachment. Now, I don't play keyboard and mouse, so bear with me here for a little bit, but as you can see, the gun has a very fast ADS speed, it has very low recoil, and it's incredibly easy to use. It hits like an absolute truck. I think the MTZ 762 is the best primary to use right now, and I think everybody should be using it. I will touch on some of the variants really quickly. I don't want to waste too much of you guys' time beating this gun to death, but the iron sight is probably the most common variant of this class that you'll see. Some people opt to use an underbarrel. I've seen some people use the Bruin Heavy. I've seen some people use the Kimura. That's kind of the variant with the underbarrel. And then there's also a variant that some people like to use with the rear grip. The reason people use the rear grip is because this doesn't slow down your ADS speed at all, whereas the underbarrels do slow down your ADS speed. So while you may not get as much recoil by using a rear grip, you're also going to have a much faster aiming in gun. I think the iron sights are very hard to use. It doesn't have the worst iron sight in the world, but in some of those longer range gunfights, it does make the gun very hard to use. I will say, though, a very important thing. I don't know what it is about guns in this game, but when you use iron sights, it does feel like you get more aim assist. So that's just something for my controller players. On keyboard and mouse, I don't know what to tell you. It sounds really stupid, but it's 100% a thing. That's pretty much everything you need to know about the MTZ. I'm going to talk about one more gun, the Pulemyot. Now, some of you guys might be saying to yourself, KP, why the Pulemyot? It's slow. This gun is still very, very usable. And like I said with the Ram 7, it's like a kilo now. It has that fast fire rate, and it's just really easy to use, and so people will always like it. In that exact same fashion, the Pulemyot is still very good, and it's the only way that you're going to have that sort of a feel on a gun while being able to use 100 rounds. The class setup is pretty much the same as it's always been. We're going to be using the conversion kit, the Jack Annihilator. We're going to be using the Commando reduction stock for the extra recoil control. We're going to be using the Pulemyot Eagle Eye sight, Jack Annihilator long barrel, the only barrel we can actually use on this for the extra bullet velocity and range. And then for the muzzle, we're not going to be using the Jack BFB. It absolutely tanks the bullet velocity now. We're going to be using the Spirit Fire Suppressor. This gun is very low recoil, very easy to use. It's basically the same class as 2 months ago. Some people are still liking it, especially at some of the lower ranks, but you will lose gunfights to that MTZ. I figured it was just an honorable mention because I know that a lot of people still really love using this gun. That's literally everything you guys need to know about ranked Resurgence. Hopefully these classes helped you guys out. If it did, please consider leaving a like and subbing to the channel. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos, and I think we're on like an 80-something day upload streak now on YouTube, which is crazy. If you guys want to stay up to date and not miss anything out, please hit that sub. 99% of people that watch my videos aren't sub. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but what are you gonna do? I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the weekend.